Hi everybody, how are you? Good morning, it's Thursday, it's almost the weekend, yay! No big plans or anything. Maybe some unboxings. Yeah, I haven't done some of those in a while. Yeah, and today I got a good one for you. You're gonna hear the defense's side of the story in this alleged love triangle. It is not to be believed, literally not to be believed. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, Crafting Journey here, that journey chick over on Instagram. Welcome to another edition, the 351st edition of Crafting and Crime Daily. That means I've gotten up early, 351 days out of the, not Saturdays and Sundays. So this is over a 2-year span, but it's kind of cool. I still love it. I still love it. So welcome to the show. I got a good one for you today. The like button. Please don't forget to hit the like button on your way in or out. I have convinced him finally to wash the car, but you know what? It's going to rain today. Figures, right? So hit the like button. Please consider subscribing. It's free, absolutely free to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, the notification bell is so important. You want to make sure you hit all so you don't miss a single episode. Okay, today I am crocheting. This is a blanket that I started not long ago. Where am I in this thing? Here, I'll show you where I'm at so far. I'm two skeins in, two or three, I don't know, maybe three, but aren't the colors cool? Now, I'm not really big on color, watching where my colors go. There's a name for it, watching where your colors go. You can see I'm not a crochet expert. I just find it's fun to do in my spare time. Now, what I'm doing here is just a double crochet in the back loop. Super simple pattern, just something I decided I wanted to do one night, and then and then you're committed. You're like, oh yeah, now I'm committed. There's a bucket hat that I want to make on Bag O' Day's channel, Bag O' Day Crochet. She's got a bucket hat. I love bucket hats. I need to make that bucket hat, right? All right. So today is National Macaroni Day. Yeah. Who knew we needed a macaroni day? Oh my God, it's hot in here. Here, let me just spritz. Oh, it feels good. That's my watercolor bottle. Look, I've got my watercolor leaves on. Yeah, I'm gonna get the watercolors out probably tonight, because I miss them. I haven't done them all week. So, what was I saying? Oh, macaroni day. No, we don't want to forget to talk about macaroni day. Macaroni is it's such a popular pasta. Elbow macaroni is the #1 selling macaroni in the country. I don't know about the world, in the country. Because who doesn't like a good macaroni and cheese, especially in your ice cream? Check out my video from Sunday's live. Got to watch it all the way to the end, or just fast forward to the end. I try Kraft macaroni and cheese ice cream. Yeah. Anyway, so now we got to go to the next row, and I have plenty of this yarn, as you can see. Oh, wait a minute here. I'll show you. I got 4 more skeins of this yarn. It is Sundance Whirlwind by Premier yarn. Premier, yeah. Sundance Whirlwind. Okay. Whew. And if I'm wrong, I know you'll correct me. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about macaroni. I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, it's great. It stretches a meal. If you add some macaroni to whatever it is you're making, it just stretches. Just add some macaroni, add some cheese. It doesn't matter what else you put in there with it. It's going to be delicious. Just ask Kerwin, Crutchley's husband. She says he always comes up with these casseroles with cheese and noodles. And see, that's the secret. You put the macaroni in, it stretches the meal. It's delicious. And yeah, my favorite is to boil the macaroni, like a box of macaroni and cheese. But the box of macaroni and cheese it's always got too much cheese and not enough macaroni. I don't know why. So I add elbow macaroni when I make macaroni and cheese. I'll add a few elbows to it. And then I like to mix it with hamburger. I know that's weird. And then I'll add a little cheddar. I'll sprinkle some cheddar in there too. Oh, delicious. I haven't made that in a while because my sister's in charge of the kitchen now. So, and she's shopping, so she does the shopping, and it's such a huge help. Oh my gosh. Now I'll have to worry about that. Yeah. She bought the other day, what was it? A lemon meringue pie. Oh, delicious. Yeah, just what I need. Lemon meringue. So this is bothering me. Okay, let me just get this off of here because we're down to the end of the skein here. Oh, okay, I was wrong. This is from Hirschner's. Sorry, not Premier. Hirschners.com. So yeah, Sundance Whirlwind from Hirschner's, and the color is Neptune. Okay, and it is a 5-weight, bulky. Garbage. All right, it is hot in here, man. We have had some steamy hot days. Okay, you guys want me to talk about the crime. All right, we'll talk about the crime. So first of all, Nicholas Cruz. And they always, every time Law and Crime covers something with Nicholas Cruz, they put up his booking photo, which looks nothing like what he looks like now. So I'm always going like, well, I recognize that guy. Wait, who is that guy? Wait a minute, I have to think about it. And then I remember, oh, it's the guy with the glasses that looks like a schoolboy when they bring him into, he's always got this funky vest on. Like nobody wears a sweater vest anymore. They put a sweater vest on him. He looks like a schoolboy. So So they have this hearing yesterday, a motion in limine. Now, motion in limine is a motion that's filed right before trial to exclude certain evidence. And they were trying to exclude on his AR-15. I'm sorry, it's not AK. It's AR, assault rifle 15. I should know these things, right? Another AR-15. On his AR-15, he had drawn swastikas on both sides of his AR-15. And the boots that he wore had swastikas on them. Now, they put a psychologist on the stand, and he had reviewed multiple interviews with Nicholas Cruz, had not interviewed him himself. They read a lot of deposition testimony, or a lot of interview testimony with Nicholas, where he said the swastikas originated as an Indian peace symbol. And the interviewer would say, well, where did you get that? And he's like, oh no, everybody knows that. It's it was an Indian peace symbol that the Nazis stole and adopted it as their own symbol. Oh, well, that explains it. You wanted peace before you shot all those people. Now, I didn't explain. Nicholas Cruz is the Parkland school shooter. It was another active shooter, multiple victims. He has already pled guilty to over 70 counts of murder, attempted murder. But in Florida, in order to impose the death penalty, which he is facing, obviously, either life in sentence or the death penalty, you have to assemble a jury. Even though he pled to everything, they have to assemble a jury and have a trial. And at the end of this trial, then the jury can recommend the death penalty or life. So this trial is not for his innocence or his guilt. It's just to determine a penalty. So this trial starts July 16th. So I will cover that for you. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to hear, the witness list has about 2,000 people on it. It's going to last for weeks. A lot of these people are victims who want to give victim impact statements, which is totally allowed during a sentencing phase of a trial. It's going to be brutal. So I don't know how much I'm going to bring to you, but I'll bring you the essence of it. The psychologist had concluded that Nicholas Cruz suffers from antisocial personality disorder, ADHD, borderline personality traits, an eating disorder, and a learning disability. Now, I don't know why they did this, but during portion of this testimony yesterday, during this motion, they read off a list of websites that Nicholas Cruz had visited on his computer, to the point where it was sickening, absolutely sickening. Obviously a pedophile, looking up all these kiddie porn sites. Like, if they didn't have him guilty for all of this, all these murders, they could get him on the porn that he was looking at. I mean, just sickening stuff, you know, and looking up mass shootings, looking up, it was just disgusting. And at one point, the psychologist was reading them off so fast that the court reporter, she had to stop him and say, can you slow down, please? And she seemed visibly upset. I was upset by what I was hearing. It was very disturbing, these websites that this kid went to. Really disturbing. And you're going to say, where was his parents? He didn't have any parents. This kid, the parents were not in the picture, unfortunately. Then we fast forward to the shooting that occurred over the weekend, the mass shooting in Chicago on July 4th. They have a suspect in custody. Oh my God, look at this guy. Ooh, he's a picture to behold. Robert E. Cremo III, 21 years old. Yep. Here's another one. Mass shooting, 4th of July, 7 people murdered and many, many people injured. He's in custody, finally. He disguised himself as a woman to leave the scene of the crime, and was on his way to do another shooting when they caught him, or when they pulled him over. Anyway, another assault rifle, AR-15. Don't we just love our AR-15s? I gotta get one. Everybody has one. Why don't I have one? Anyway, did he obtain his gun legally? Kinda, sorta, yeah. You had to get a card to get the weapon, and his father had to sign off on it. And his father did sign off on it. Now, here's where I think the parents come into the picture here. Now, I said the parents weren't in the picture of Nicholas Cruz, but they're absolutely in the picture of this case. Because the year before, he had threatened to kill everybody. The police had come to his house where he was threatening to kill everybody. They took all of their knives away. They did return them to the father at a later point. Didn't look for guns. Didn't report this, because if you report it and put it into a database, it'll flag, it'll send out what they call a red alert. And then he would not have been able to purchase the gun. Yes. So at that point, the parents knew that they needed to get their son some mental health. Not happening. Did not get him any mental health support. And then fast forward, he does a mass shooting. Yeah. So I think we got another case here where they need to look at the parents. Meanwhile, the Crumley's family, Mr. and Mrs. Crumley, this is a different mass shooting where they actually did arrest the parents. Those parents have been sitting in jail since early January, February. They did recently a motion to change venues. They didn't, setting that they couldn't get a fair trial in their current venue. But here's the rub. They hired these two individuals that are charged separately, mom and dad, hired one law firm, and the two attorneys from this one law firm were representing them. And at every single proceeding, the judge reads to them, are you aware that this could be a conflict, that you're both being represented by the same law firm? So then we find out yesterday that it's a separate law firm now. The law firm broke up. So now one attorney is with one law firm, the other attorney is with a different law firm. But, Your Honor, we're still working together. She should not have said that. That could come to haunt her later on. We're still working together. No. You need to be separate. You need to get a different table, honey, and sit with your client at a different table, because this is going to come back to haunt you. The fact that you are doing something together with the other defendant. Never a good thing, because this husband and wife thing is not going to, eventually she's going to get tired of sitting in jail, and she's going to turn on him, he's going to turn on her, and it isn't going to be pretty. But these parents have sat in jail for a very, very long time because they didn't get their son mental health that he needed when there was indications that he was having problems. And he ends up doing a mass shooting. So we'll see what happens with the 4th of July shooter. I don't even know all these names now. I can't even keep all these names straight. So many mass shootings. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Gun violence in this country. I know I talk about it every single day. It's just ridiculous. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the trial. Okay, this is the trial of Kevin Eastman for the murder of Scott Sessions and Heather Frank. Now, I started listening to day 2 testimony, and I was getting more and more confused. I'm like, whose property are they on? How did they get there? I'm like, I've missed something. So I told you I had not seen the defendant's opening. So last night I sat in bed and watched the defendant's opening. I'm like, oh, that explains things. Okay, so here's what I missed. And the defense's version of the events is quite interesting. They spin a rather interesting tale. Was this a love triangle? Absolutely not. They weren't in love. They weren't even dating. Heather Frank and Scott Sessions. She had just met him on Facebook Messenger. They had gotten together one night, literally gotten together. He writes to her next day on Facebook Messenger, oh, I had a great time, and she doesn't respond. I don't know, she didn't have a good time. She ghosted him. She doesn't respond to him for like over a week. She goes to a blues festival where he's playing and doesn't even tell him that she's there. So he writes to her the next day, I didn't see you at the concert. And she's like, oh, I was there, I just wasn't dancing, and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, she invites him to come over. Yeah, and this is where things go horribly wrong. So apparently I got my facts wrong about the living situation. So she and Mr. Eastman lived in Greeley, Colorado, in this apartment. And he is the one that left the situation. They were both very into the alcohol, and he decided, I'm going to sober up. I need to leave. He leaves. He moves to a different town with his sister. She brings him in. He's doing his 12-step program. He's doing very well. And then he falls off the wagon one night. And when he comes home, his sister has locked him out of the house. So he has to leave with his car, the shirt on his back. He has nowhere else to go. So he goes back to Greeley and ends up at her house, which happens to be the same day that she has a date with Scott Sessions. He's coming over that night. Now we know from forensic evidence that all 3 cell phones were there the entire night of the 8th. All night long, all 3 cell phones were pinging from this home in Greeley. Now the defense's story is that when Mr. Eastman showed up, Heather said, give me your cell phone. I'm going to sell it so we can get some money, which I didn't understand that. So she puts the cell phone aside. She told him, I've got a date, so you've got to leave. But she has his cell phone there. Like, she told she was going to sell it. I don't know. It made no sense to me. So she puts the cell phone. So this explains apparently why all 3 cell phones were pinging all night long there. He goes somewhere else to a friend's house. He spends the night there. And anyway, the murder happens. Now we get to see the autopsy photo. And I don't know. Usually they don't show the autopsy photo, but they showed the autopsy photo of Scott Sessions, and it was sickening. I will not put the picture here, but I thought he was shot. He was not shot. He was stabbed from behind, slit his throat. Someone came from behind him, and the defense said with a sharp enough knife, you don't need a lot of pressure, and the medical examiner agreed with her. Anybody, any size, if they have a sharp enough knife, can slit someone's throat. And you could tell it went from right to left, which means the person would have to be right-handed, I would thing. So I'm wondering if this Heather Frank is right or left-handed. They haven't said. But right here is kind of very superficial. As it gets over here, man, she went through vessels and clearly almost sliced. It was inches. It was gross. I'm like, oh, I had to actually cover the photo to see the rest of the attachment. I'm like, I did not need to see that. I really didn't. Oh, it gave me the creeps. He had defensive wounds on his hands, which is, I don't understand. If somebody comes up to you from behind and slits your throat, where did the defensive wounds on the hands come in? Like, that made no sense. Like, even if he reached up to, I don't know. I don't understand the defensive wounds, because you could see cuts across his hands, like he grabbed the knife. So I don't know if he did this, but if he did this, how? I don't get, or maybe he did this, he grabbed the knife, and I don't know. Then there was another, like a superficial cut here, and then a stab wound here. Yeah. He was dead, for sure. And they there was blue duct tape. There was plastic wrap wrapped around his head. There was blue duct tape to keep it wrapped. So they carefully removed this duct tape at the autopsy, and then they sent portions of it for DNA. And guess whose DNA shows up on it? Heather Frank, not Mr. Eastman. No, Heather Frank. Oh my God, what? So now I'm thinking, well, then how did she die? She didn't kill herself, which they do rule out. The medical examiner says, no, this was not suicide. You don't typically shoot yourself twice, because she was shot twice in the chest. That's not typical for a suicide. You one time and you're done. How did they find her body? Well, Mr. Eastman was, at some point, early in February, after he gets back to Greeley, he gets a job with a friend, Mr. Bonnell. Mr. Bonnell has this huge 11-acre property. He has a burn pit in the back, in a shed, a burn shed. He also has a large pile of wood next to the burn shed. Now, they don't burn, there's no burning going on at the wood pile. The burning is done at the woodshed, and Mr. Eastman is seen at the woodshed burning stuff, but he worked there apparently. So they go out to search this property and find, coincidentally, they're searched it. They're doing a grid search. They send out the drone. They're not finding anything. So this one officer, he's out near the burn shed, and there's a porta potty, and he goes over near the porta potty to take a break. And he pees next to the porta potty, not in the porta potty. He says, no, I'm not going in there, but he pees next to it. And then he's just kind of standing there relaxing, and he notices this weird table in the wood pile, which seems very out of place, because it's usually just wood debris, like from the trees and stuff. But he sees a wood table. So he's like, well, that seems out of place. So he goes over there, lifts up the table, and there's Heather Frank's body wrapped in plastic. Then there's a garage on this property where they find 2 high-powered rifles, no knives. Now, we know she was shot with a .22. There was no small caliber weapons found. But what they did find was baling wire, which she had been wrapped in plastic, and it was secured with baling wire. So they found baling wire, and they found a huge roll of plastic, which they proceeded to drag into the courtroom. This huge roll of plastic, which was like the size of a person. This plastic roll. It was crazy. Like, why didn't they just take a picture of it? I don't think we needed to see the entire huge roll of plastic. It said her body was about 20 foot from the burn shed. So was he planning to burn her later on at some point? I don't know. Now, there were several pairs of boots found inside the Bonnell home. Probably belonged to Mr. Bonnell, but we don't know because they didn't lift impressions of the boot prints. We found out from cross-examination of the crime scene technician that he overlooked picking up an impression of the boot print that he found. In the garage, there was no evidence of a struggle. There were also syringes and vials of HGH all over the house, which is human growth hormone. And the medical examiner was asked, did human growth hormone play a part in her death? No. In fact, toxicology showed that she was very intoxicated at the time of her murder, way past the legal limit to drive. She was heavily intoxicated. One crossbow and bolt found on the property of Mr. Bonnell, and there was another crossbow and bolt found in the vehicle of Mr. Eastman. But the medical examiner says she wasn't killed by a crossbow or bolt. It was a 22. Then we get a different officer that found truck tracks. It looked like someone had pulled up to the property. Now we're going back to Scott Sessions' murder. It looked like someone had backed in a truck towards that wood pile where we found Scott Sessions' body burning. They had backed up a truck, and there were footprints on both sides of the truck leading back and forth to where the body was and back to the truck. Both sides of the truck. Yeah. Did they do this thing together and then later on he kills her? I don't know. This is a very interesting case, a puzzle to be sure. Yeah. So lots going on in the crime world. I hope I didn't confuse you today. I was so excited last night because Big Brother started and I didn't watch the whole thing. I had so much going on. I had to watch my sister's YouTubes, and then I was back into my Alaska story on Netflix about the island of Adak and the treasure hunting, and still haven't found the treasure. Yeah, I'm in episode 3. We still have not found any treasure. But, we'll see. And one of my subscribers actually told me that her father was in the army and stationed in Adak. I would love to talk to him. Did he dig for treasure? Actually, the military soldiers were not allowed to dig. They knew about the legends. They knew about the buried treasure. They knew that some had already been found. They were not allowed to dig. So, probably did not dig for treasure. Interesting. Can you imagine being court-martialed because you were digging for treasure in your spare time? All right, guys, that's the show for today. No, this day in history, I got to get to work. It's already, it's time to get to work. Yeah. Love you all. Bye.